First, what were the high points today, non-bingo related?
We talked about several bills that passed the House, at least bills I'm most familiar with. We had a text messaging ban bill that has passed. It's really fairly non-controversial. There's 40 some odd states, I believe, have already passed a ban on text messaging. Our bill is it's taken a long time to get something out of the House. I think everybody supports the idea of prohibiting text messaging and driving. That's what it does. And we've got one. I think it's going to be tough to enforce. I really do. The one thing that's good about it, I think, good people, believe in obeying the law, and so it is going to be encourage people to do what's right. Now, I have heard some statistics show states that have passed them have not reduced fatalities or accidents as a result of people following the law. So that's discouraging in some manner. I don't know what the answer is, but it's a good first step in that area. Some of the other bills that have came up, one that's a hot issue that's very important is the PAC program, Prepaid Affordable College Tuition Program, trying to make sure that it is made whole. That program, there's a number of bills that have been introduced to address the issue. I think you're probably aware of it. Greg Wren has introduced 3 bills that address the makeup of the board and how they do their investments, give it some more accountability to the board, make sure we don't get in the mess that we're in today. The big issue is the funding mechanism, and there's a funding bill that's been introduced in the Senate and the House that I think is, from what I understand, is got an agreement that I think we've got overwhelming support for it. Just a matter of getting it on the calendar and getting voted on. But the reality on the PAC program is that we have an obligation. There's a legal obligation. There's also a moral obligation. There's also some litigation that's been commenced, and the reality on this issue is Alabama's going to do what's right by those contracts, whether we do it through the legislature, which is where we should do it, or if the courts make us do it. But those contracts are going to be obligated, and we have a responsibility to do that. They were sold and backed by the full faith and credit of the state of Alabama, and that's got to mean something.
Okay. Elephant in the room, bingo.
Okay.
It's the big deal in Houston County, particularly in Houston County with Country Crossing. I know your stance, but what is your stance on the electronic bingo?
All right. Well, on electronic bingo, there's a dispute of whether or not it's legal. There's been a number of court cases that have gone on across the state. The governor's task force has been shutting down facilities. They've been to Houston County. They have not been successful in a raid here, but it is shut down, I think, as a result of the task force. The reality on that is there's been a bill that's been introduced in the legislature this past Thursday. I have not had an opportunity to read the bill yet. I'm on record previously of supporting allowing the people to vote. I still feel that way. I want to let the people vote on this. And the reason I do is because that's how you change the law in Alabama if it's prohibited by the Constitution. And there's an argument that it is prohibited. Now, it may not be. We're still working through the court system. We're still early in this process. But, we do have a local constitutional amendment in Houston County, Amendment 569, that allows for charity bingo. The county commission's promulgated rules and created a special class of permit holders to allow Country Crossing to operate. There's some arguments whether or not they had the authority to do that. There's an argument that statutorily, by statute, slot machines are prohibited in Alabama, and any machine that's readily adaptable as a slot machine is illegal. So we're still in the process of determining the legality of the machines. If your question is, do I support letting the people vote whether or not we want to have it? Yes, I do. But I support letting them vote on a fair bill. What that would include, I hadn't seen it yet. I'm certainly, I think overwhelming majority of people in this community want to vote for or against. They just want a right to vote. And, generally speaking, we have a representative form of government. But when you're talking about changing the Constitution, the way you do that is through constitutional amendment, and that requires a vote of the people. And so that's exactly what must happen in this situation if the public wants to have some clarity on this issue and to address it. There's arguments for and against bingo, and I don't know if I want to get into a philosophical debate on if it's good. But one thing I'm excited about, honestly excited about, is that there is a big discussion going on in the community. You know, there's arguments for it and there's arguments against. So I think everybody's got an argument, and that's what's great, is that you know, we get to have a discussion, we get to have this debate, and I think we should. You know, and so I'm excited to see the public so interested in an issue. And again, it's people for it and against it, but it's just a matter of us working through the process. What particular legislation could I support? You know, it needs to do a number of things, and I don't want to outline that today, but you know, I certainly can answer any further follow-up questions you may have about it.
I guess just kind of with the Indian gaming laws, do you feel that if the Class 2 machines are legal within, they should be legal in the rest of the state as well? Do you have any sort of
Okay, all right, you're talking. There's an argument there as well of whether or not the electronic bingo machine is a Class 2 machine or a Class 3 machine. I don't know the answer to that. I think if the Indians or Native Americans are allowed to have bingo, or that's what we determine these machines are, bingo machines, if they're allowed to have them, I think the public, that just furthers the argument that the people of Alabama ought to have an opportunity to have a say of whether they want it or not. You know, but then again, you know, there's a number of arguments on both sides, and I'm certainly listening to my constituents on both sides of this issue. You know, for me, I represent Country Crossing's a constituent business of mine. It's located in the district I represent. The people that are working there, people that attend that facility, many of them live in my district, live in this community. And they ought to be able to have the right to have their voice heard, just like those who are opposed to it. And it's just going to be a matter of working through the process.